The bearing from Front Royal to Culpepper is south 18 degrees east. So here we've got Front Royal. We measure off from south around 18. That's going to make it a little bigger than 18 so we can see it. And here we have Culpepper. The bearing from Culpepper to Winchester is north 11 degrees west. So we have to go to the north and then over to the west. That is 11 degrees. And up to Winchester. And then the distance from Winchester to Culpepper is 63 miles, and the distance from Culpepper to Front Royal is 44 miles. We want to determine the distance from Front Royal to Winchester. We'll call that X. And then we also want to find the bearing if we wanted to head from Fort Royal to Winchester. And so we will figure the angle in a minute. Let's just look at the X here. We see we formed a triangle, and I've got two sides of the triangle. I don't have an angle in the triangle, but I can get one because there is a vertical here and a vertical here. This angle is 18 degrees, so this angle is also 18, which means the little angle inside of there, because we have 11 degrees here, must be 7. Now I have side angle side, so I can use the law of cosines to determine x. So I have x squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides, so 44 squared plus 63 squared minus 2 times the product of those two sides, 44 times 63, times the cosine of the angle between those two sides, which is 7. So from here, it's a calculator to figure out x. I'm going to hit the square root and then put all of this in. So grabbing the calculator, I'm going to do the square root of, I've got 44 squared plus 63 squared minus 2 times 44 times 63 times cosine of 7. And it looks like at 20.058. So x is about 20 miles. We're going to use the exact value in the calculator for our calculation on the next one so we don't have any rounding errors. But to the nearest mile, it's 20 miles. Now, how can we figure out the bearing from Front Royal to Winchester? Well, it would be measured off from the vertical around to the east. But if we could find this angle in the triangle, then we could get at the bearing angle. So let's call this angle in the triangle theta. And we can see that the side opposite theta is 63. So we could do 63 squared equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides, 44, plus I'll put 20 squared. Actually, instead of putting 20, I'm just going to put x squared, and we'll use the value that's in the calculator, minus 2 times the product of those two sides times the cosine of the angle between those two sides. And the angle in between 44 and x is theta. That's what we're trying to find. So if we solve this for cosine theta, we have cosine theta equals 63 squared minus 44 squared minus x squared, and that would be divided by negative 2 times 44 times x. So we can bring the calculator back up, and anytime we need x, we're going to use that answer that's in the calculator. So we're going to do inverse cosine because we want to find that angle. I'm going to do a parenthesis to start the numerator. It's going to be 63 squared minus 44 squared minus the answer squared. And that's the numerator, so parenthesis to finish the numerator, divided by parenthesis to start the denominator, negative 2 times 44 times the answer. And parenthesis to finish the bottom. So that tells us that angle is 157.49. We're going to round to the nearest degree. So theta is approximately 157 degrees. So looking at our picture here, we want to know the bearing from Front Royal to Winchester, and that's going to be, there's 18 degrees here, and theta was 157 degrees. So if we subtract both of those from 180, it will tell us that angle that's left. And it looks like it leaves us 5 degrees. So the bearing would be north 5 degrees east.